stop, before you skip this video, before you tell yourself you'll get to it later. I need you to hear this. That habit of postponing, that's not laziness. That's something far more dangerous operating inside your mind right now. And it's been running your life without your permission for months, maybe years. And the scariest part, you've gotten so used to it, you've started calling it you. That's just who I am. I'm not a disciplined person. I'll start when I feel ready. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Ready is a feeling, and feelings lie. Stay with me for the next 30 minutes, because what I'm about to break down isn't just motivation content. This is a blueprint for rewiring how you operate. At the deepest level, let's go. I want you to picture something. It's 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. You've been planning to start since Monday of last week. The journal is still blank. The app is downloaded but unopened. The workout clothes are folded on the chair. They've been there for 4 days, and you're sitting there, phone in hand, watching someone else's highlight reel, feeling this quiet creeping shame. Not loud shame, not dramatic, just this dull ache, this feeling of I should be further along. Have you felt that? That specific weight? It's not just disappointment. It's something heavier, because it's not about what happened to you. It's about what you didn't do. And that's the part that eats you alive at 2 a.m. when the distractions run out and it's just you and your thoughts. You replay the conversations you didn't have, the risks you didn't take, the version of yourself you almost became and quietly stepped away from when it got hard. Here's what I want you to know right now before we go any further. That feeling you've been carrying is not evidence that you're broken. It's evidence that you still care. And people who don't care, they don't feel that ache. They stopped caring long ago. You haven't, which means something in you is still fighting, even when everything on the surface looks like giving up. So no, this isn't a video for people who've quit. This is a video for people who are this close to quitting, but haven't yet. This is for you. Let's get honest about something. You've heard the word discipline your entire life. Teachers told you to have it. Parents modeled it or didn't. Every self-help book promises it, but no one ever explained why it's so hard to access. And here's the real answer, the psychological one that most motivational channels skip because it's uncomfortable. Your brain is not designed for discipline. Read that again. Your brain, the most sophisticated structure in the known universe, is biologically wired to conserve energy, avoid discomfort, and protect you from perceived danger. It doesn't care about your goals. It cares about your survival. And to your nervous system, starting something new, something hard, something uncertain feels like a threat. This is called the threat minimization response. When your brain detects effort, uncertainty, or potential failure, it floods you with resistance, fatigue, doubt. The sudden urge to check your phone, that's not weakness, that's neuroscience. But here's where it gets dangerous. Most people interpret that resistance as a signal to stop. They feel the friction, the mental fog, the I don't feel like it. And they conclude, I'm not motivated enough, I should wait. And so they wait. And the waiting becomes a habit. And the habit becomes an identity. Let me give you a scenario. Real life scenario, Air One. Marcus is 26, smart, ambitious. He's been working on his business idea for 8 months. He talks about it. He has 47 tabs open on his laptop. He's watched hundreds of YouTube videos about entrepreneurship, but the business doesn't exist. Every morning, Marcus wakes up with the intention to work on it. He even makes coffee, gets his notebook, sits at the desk, and then nothing. He opens Instagram. He checks his email. He tells himself, I need to think more before I start. 2 hours pass. He closes the laptop, promises himself he'll do it tonight. Tonight comes. He's tired. He watches Netflix, sleeps, repeats. Marcus doesn't have a discipline problem on the surface. Marcus has a pattern recognition problem. His brain has learned through 8 months of repetition that sitting at the desk leads to discomfort, which leads to avoidance, which leads to temporary relief, and relief feels good. So now, every time he sits down to work, his nervous system immediately scripts the exit strategy, not because he's weak, but because his brain is very, very good at protecting him from discomfort. Do you see what's happening here? The problem isn't willpower. The problem is that every time you chose comfort over action, you trained your brain to prefer comfort. You built the wrong habit and called it a personality trait. But here's the thing about habits. They can be unbuilt and they can be replaced, but not through motivation, through something far more reliable. And this is where most people stop reading, because the next part is the part that stings. Motivation is a feeling. And here's the hard truth no one frames properly. You are never going to feel ready. not for the hard conversation, not for starting the business, not for going to the gym at 6 a.m. when it's cold and dark and your bed is warm. The right moment you've been waiting for, that moment where everything aligns and the motivation hits and you spring into action with confidence, it doesn't exist. It was never real. The people winning right now, they started without that feeling. They started scared, tired, uncertain. They started anyway. Here's the moment everything changes. I want you to completely erase the definition of discipline you've been carrying, because I promise you, whatever you think discipline is, it's making the whole thing harder than it needs to be. Most people think discipline looks like this: waking up at 4 a.m., cold showers, hardcore willpower, white knuckling through pain with a grim expression and zero emotion. And if you don't have that, if you're not built like a Navy SEAL, you conclude you're not disciplined. That's wrong. Here's the real definition. Discipline is simply the decision to act in alignment with your future self, even when your present self doesn't want to. That's it. It's not about being emotionless. It's not about never struggling. It's about recognizing the struggle, feeling it fully, and moving anyway, one step, one choice, one moment of override. And here's the identity shift I need you to sit with. You are not building success. You are building the person who creates it. Let that sink in. Every time you choose action over avoidance, even in tiny, invisible ways, you're not just completing a task. You're sending a signal to your own brain. I am someone who does what they said they would do. And over time, that signal accumulates. It compounds. It rewrites the story you tell yourself about who you are. Because here's what most people don't realize. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. You've been waiting to feel confident enough to start. But confidence is the result of starting. You've had the equation backwards. Now let me give you the hard truth moment. And I'm saying this because I care about your actual progress, not just making you feel good for 30 minutes. No one is coming to save you. No mentor is going to appear and hand you the formula. No perfect set of circumstances is going to arrive and make it easy. No right time exists on a calendar somewhere. The rescue you've been waiting for, you are the rescue. And the moment you fully accept that, the moment that truth lands, not just intellectually, but emotionally, everything shifts, because desperation turns into responsibility. And responsibility is far more powerful than motivation. Real life scenario, Yue 2. Picture Aisha, 27 years old. She's tried to get fit 6 times in the last 3 years. 6 gym memberships, 4 diet plans, 2 personal trainers. Each time she starts strong. Week 1 is incredible. She's consistent, eating well, feeling proud. Week 2 slows down. Week 3, something comes up. Work gets busy. She misses 2 days, and then comes the thought that destroys everything. I've already broken the streak. What's the point? And she stops every single time. What's happening to Aisha isn't a lack of motivation. She clearly wants to change. She's proven that 6 times. What's destroying her is a cognitive trap called all or nothing thinking. Her internal voice whispers, perfect or nothing, streak or failure, all or none. And when reality doesn't cooperate, because reality never cooperates perfectly, she crashes. Here's the shift Aisha needed. Missing once doesn't break a habit. Missing twice builds a new one. 1 missed workout is a bump. 2 consecutive missed workouts is the beginning of a pattern. 3, your brain starts to update your identity. So the rule isn't never miss. The rule is never miss twice. 1 day off is human. 2 days off is a choice. That reframe alone, if you lock it in, will save you from the cycle Aisha was trapped in. But here's what most people don't realize about the mindset shift. It's not a one-time event. It's not a YouTube video you watch and suddenly you're transformed. The shift happens in the small, private moments no one sees. When it's 6:15 a.m. and you're arguing with yourself. When you've had a terrible day and the couch is calling. When you've failed 3 times already and you're deciding whether to try a 4th. That inner voice, the one whispering, just skip today, that's not the enemy. That voice is scared, tired, protecting you. The move isn't to silence it. The move is to acknowledge it and act anyway. Yeah, I hear you. I know you're tired. We're doing it anyway. That internal negotiation practiced daily is discipline. Hey, pause with me for just a second. If this video is landing, if something in the last 12 minutes cracked open a thought you've been avoiding, that's not a coincidence. That's recognition. And it means you needed to hear this. Hit the like button right now, not for me, but because somewhere, someone else is lying on their couch in the exact same spiral you've been in, and the algorithm will put this in front of them. Be the reason they find it. Now, let's get into the practical side, because insight without action is just entertainment. This is where we shift from understanding to application, because the problem with most motivational content, and I'll be honest about this, is that it makes you feel something, but leaves you with nothing to do. These 5 tools are different. Each one is specific. Each one is immediately usable. Each one has changed the trajectory of real people's lives when they stop treating it like theory. Here's the neuroscience behind starting. The hardest part of any action is the initiation cost, the mental energy required to begin. Once you're in motion, the brain shifts modes. Resistance drops, momentum builds. So the rule is simple. You only have to do 2 minutes. 2 minutes of the workout, 2 minutes of writing, 2 minutes of studying. That's the commitment. 2 minutes, not because 2 minutes is enough, but because 2 minutes is enough to start. And starting is the variable you've been losing. Real life application tomorrow morning. When resistance hits, say out loud, I'm only doing 2 minutes. Put on the shoes, open the document, pick up the weight. I promise you, you'll go beyond 2 minutes almost every time. Because the resistance was never about the work. It was about the threshold of beginning. Lower the threshold. This is the shift most people never make. There are 2 types of people trying to build habits. Person A says, I want to run a 5K. Person B says, I'm a runner. Person A is outcome focused. Every missed run is a failure. Person B is identity focused. Every run is just what runners do. Do you see the difference? When your goal is external, willpower is your fuel, and willpower runs out. When your goal is internal, when it's who you are, you don't need willpower. You need consistency with your own self-concept. Here's how to apply it. Stop saying, I'm trying to get fit. Start saying, I'm someone who takes care of my body. Stop saying, I'm working on being more disciplined. Start saying, I'm a disciplined person who's still learning. Words shape identity. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes results. The order matters. Here's the truth nobody tells you about high performers. They don't win because of superior willpower. They win because they architect their environment to make the right choice automatic and the wrong choice inconvenient. Your phone on the nightstand, you'll check it first thing. Guaranteed your gym bag unpacked on the couch, you won't go. Statistically, but watch what happens when you put the phone charger across the room, pack the gym bag the night before and put it by the door. Put the book on your pillow instead of the TV remote. You've now removed the decision from the equation because decision fatigue is real. And every decision you make throughout the day drains a limited cognitive resource. The goal isn't to become someone with infinite willpower. The goal is to design a life that requires as little of it as possible. Application tonight, before you sleep. Set up your environment for tomorrow's version of you. Remove one obstacle, add one trigger. That's it. Just one. This is the one that sounds soft but hits harder than almost anything else once you do it properly. Close your eyes for a moment or just follow along. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. Same person, but you made the choices. You showed up when you didn't want to. You stayed when quitting was easier. Who is that person? Not what they have. Who are they? How do they carry themselves? How do they speak? What do they feel when they wake up? Now here's the question. What would that version of you say about today's decision? Not tomorrow's, not next week's, this decision. Right now, would they say, yeah, taking the day off was smart? Or would they say, that was the moment and you let it pass? The future self isn't a fantasy. It's a compass. Refer to it constantly, especially in the moments of friction. What would the version of me I'm building do right now? Then do that. And this is where it gets real. You've been using failure as a stop sign. The most disciplined, successful people on earth use failure as data. Think about that distinction. A stop sign means this road ends here. Data means this didn't work. Now I know something I didn't know before. Thomas Edison's famous quote, stripped of the cliche, is actually a precise operational strategy. Every failed attempt was a discovery, not a defeat. Real life example. You try intermittent fasting for 2 weeks. You crack on day 9, you eat the thing. Old mindset, I failed, I can't do this, I have no willpower. New mindset, day 9 was the weak point. Why? I was stressed, I hadn't slept well. Next time, I build in a pressure valve for high stress days. That's not positive thinking, that's strategic analysis. The person who never fails is the person who never tries. And the person who tries and fails and learns is the person who eventually wins every single time. All right. Now I want you to really see this, not conceptually, viscerally. Let's walk through 2 versions of the same day, same person, same circumstances, different operating system. Version 1, before the shift, it's 6:47 a.m. Alarm went off at 6:30. You hit snooze twice. You're lying in bed, phone in hand, already 15 minutes behind on the plan you made last night. The internal voice starts immediately. You're already late. There's no point doing the full workout now. You might as well start fresh tomorrow. And that sounds reasonable, so you stay in bed. Another 20 minutes, you finally get up, feel guilty. Tell yourself you'll compensate tonight. Noon comes. Work has been chaotic. The compensation plan is fading. By 5 p.m., you're exhausted, slightly resentful. The thought of exercise feels cruel. You order food, watch something, go to sleep, set the alarm for 6:30 again, and the cycle continues. Not because you're lazy, but because you never interrupted the script. Version 2, after the shift, it's 6:47 a.m. Alarm went off at 6:30. You hit snooze twice. You're lying in bed, phone in hand, and here's where everything diverges. The same internal voice starts. You're already late. There's no point. But now you know that voice. You've studied it. You've named it. You even find it slightly predictable. And instead of negotiating with it, you just say 2 minutes. You don't think about the full workout. You think about standing up. Feet hit the floor, you're up, you put on the shoes, not because you feel ready, but because the shoes are right there. You set them out last night. You start 12 minutes in, the resistance has dissolved because it always dissolves once motion begins. You finish something, not perfect, but done. And as you shower, there's a quiet feeling underneath the noise of the day, not pride exactly, integrity, a small but powerful sense of, I said I would. I did. That feeling becomes addictive in the best possible way. By noon, when work gets chaotic, you're slightly more resilient because you've already won a battle today that no one else knows about. By 5 p.m., tired, but not resentful because the exhaustion has weight. It means something. You go to sleep with your alarm set for 6:30, but this time it's different. This time you're someone who gets up. Do you see what changed? Not the circumstances, not the alarm time, not the schedule. What changed was the operating system running underneath. And here's what most people miss about transformation. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive in a dramatic moment where everything changes overnight. It shows up in a Tuesday morning when you're tired and you get up anyway. In the Friday night when everyone else is spiraling and you're somehow steady. In the quiet accumulation of choices no one witnessed. That's where your life is actually being built. Imagine this. It's 3 months from now. You've been showing up. Not perfectly, but consistently. You miss a day here and there and you don't spiral. You come back. The goals you set aren't finished yet, but you look different when you talk about them. You're not wishful anymore. You're working, and something subtle but profound has shifted in how you see yourself. You meet someone who says, I just can't seem to stay consistent. I don't know what's wrong with me. And you recognize that exact feeling because you lived it, and you'll know exactly what to say, not because you read it somewhere, but because you lived through it. I want to talk about the version of you that's on the other side of this, not the highlight reel fantasy, the real version, the one built from boring, invisible consistency. Here's what that actually looks like. You develop emotional regulation you didn't know you were capable of, not because you became emotionless, because you practiced tolerating discomfort so many times in workouts, in hard conversations, in late nights of work, that life's everyday turbulence stops moving the needle as much. Stress still exists. It just doesn't own you. Criticism still lands. It just doesn't level you. You've been stress testing your mind and it's gotten stronger. You develop self-trust. And this is the one people don't talk about enough. Self-trust is built the same way trust in anyone is built. By doing what you said you do. Every time you set an intention, even small, and follow through, you make a deposit into the account of self-trust. And over time, that account becomes rich. You start believing your own commitments again. When you say, I'm going to do this, your internal response shifts from, yeah, sure, to I know. That shift is quiet, but it's massive because a person who trusts themselves moves differently. They don't freeze in front of decisions. They don't catastrophize when things get hard. They know from evidence, not hope, that they can handle what's coming. You stop performing confidence and start living it. There's a version of confidence that's loud, performative, built for the audience. And then there's the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself, that knows its own worth without needing constant external validation, that can sit in uncertainty without unraveling, that looks people in the eye, not aggressively, but with steadiness. That confidence is the output of discipline, not charisma, not luck. Just the long, unglamorous work of showing up when you didn't want to, when no one was watching, when quitting would have been easy. And here's what I want you to understand about the future version of you. They're not a different person. They're you with more evidence that you can handle hard things, more evidence that you keep promises to yourself, more evidence that the friction you used to run from is exactly where the growth lives. Have you ever met someone who just seems unshakable, not arrogant, not detached, just steady. You wonder what their secret is? Here's the truth. There's no secret. They just chose over and over in moments no one witnessed to keep going. That's the entire formula. And it's available to you right now, not next Monday, not when things calm down, not when the conditions are right. Now, because the version of you that's unshakable, grounded, and relentless, they were built in moments like this one, moments where you were this close to scrolling away, checking out, pushing it to tomorrow, and instead you stayed. So here's where we land. Motivation is temporary. It's a wave that crashes, beautiful while it lasts, useless when it's gone. Discipline is the boat. It doesn't care about the waves. It was built for the water. And the most important thing I want you to carry out of this video, the one sentence I'd tattoo across the top of your brain if I could, is this: you don't need to feel ready. You need to choose to begin. That's the entire game. Everything else, the tactics, the tools, the systems, all of it sits on top of that one choice. The choice to begin when you don't feel like it, to continue when you've broken the streak, to come back when you've failed, to keep building the person who keeps going, not because it feels good, not because it's guaranteed, but because the version of yourself you're capable of becoming deserves the attempt. And I want to say one more thing directly to you. If you're someone who's been in this cycle for a while, who's tried, fallen, tried again, and is exhausted by the loop, I need you to hear this. Your history does not write your future. Every single choice resets the trajectory. Not the whole month, not the whole year, this choice. Right now, what you do in the next hour matters more than everything you didn't do last year. So don't wait for momentum. Create it. Don't wait for discipline to feel natural. Practice it until it does. Don't wait for the person you're becoming to show up. Act like them today. Because here's the final truth. The war isn't out there. It's never been out there. It's in the 3-second gap between the alarm and the snooze button, between the open document and the open Instagram tab, between I should and I will. That 3-second gap, that's the battlefield. And you have everything you need to win it. Your mindset is your most powerful weapon. Now go use it. If this hit home, give it a like. You'd be surprised how far a simple click carries this message. Subscribe to Unbreakable Mindset. New videos every week, built to actually change how you think